record. So welcome everybody. It's lovely to see you all. It feels like ages since we've done a huddle. So we're going to get straight into it tonight. We're talking about things to help us get through the winter. And some people really dread the winter, the lack of light, their mood drops, their energy drops. And I just want to remind everybody that we are so connected to nature. We are cyclical beings, and just like nature, we have to take this time to withdraw as well. And sometimes what we're feeling naturally, like this dip in energy and this dip in mood, that's all exactly as it's supposed to be. But sometimes people don't realize that we can't keep performing at exactly the same rate right throughout the year. But there's a time for producing and a time for doing and a time for being, and everything's on show, just like in your garden. But there's also a very important time to rest, to stop, to regenerate, to renew. And if we don't have that time, we go into the next season, the next cycle, with already decreased energy. So while some people don't like this time of year, it's absolutely vital to our health. We've just entered into the darkest part of the year. Don't let that fill you with dread. We'll have shorter days and shorter days right up until the 21st of December, which is only about 6 weeks. And then it all turns again. So nothing is ever permanent. After the winter solstice, the days will start to get longer again. So really try to embrace this time, this lovely, nurturing, feminine, dark time of the year, if you can at all. See it as something positive, something really vital to our health. We have just come through Samhain. We're still in Samhain, and it's an important time to reflect and have a look back and see what isn't benefiting us anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe
maybe
to let that go. So you can do that by writing out a list of things you want to let go of, or you can, which I really like, and burn it. Create your own, have your own cauldron. We've all got cauldrons these days. We've got stoves. So we're ready to go with those. And I was looking up seasonal adjustment disorder, seasonal affective disorder, and I posted about it earlier. It's funny, the symptoms of it are all the symptoms associated with perimenopause. So it's the low mood, it's low energy, it's irritability, it's anxiety, it's maybe issues around eating, overeating, undereating, loads of other things. So it's sort of a big umbrella term, like perimenopause or depression or postnatal depression. It's a huge list of symptoms that have been thrown into under one label. So as a reminder to me, and let it be a reminder to yourselves as well, don't diagnose yourself with anything because it doesn't help. Or don't diagnose somebody else with maybe SAD, seasonal adjustment disorder. Just look at the symptoms, because sometimes what we think is one thing is actually something else. You know, are we really depressed? Are we really fighting fatigue? Or are we grieving? Maybe grieving over the loss of a parent or the loss of a relationship. You know, are we really lacking interest in things, or are we just tired? Are we just bone tired? You know, a lot of us are. We blame ourselves. Never think it could be something else going on. No, it must be me. I must be the problem. It's not that I'm in an unbearable relationship and I'm cranky and irritable. It's me. It must be me. I must have seasonal adjustment disorder. So when the days get shorter, we did a lot of this kind of work in the Winter Women, that group that I was running for a few years, which is lovely. When the days get shorter, with less light, there's more time to think about the stuff that's really not in alignment with our best interests and with the best interests of our soul. So it's this time is just as important as summer. If you were to compare this to a part of our menstrual cycle, the winter, the dark winter, it would be the bleeding time. And what happens when we're bleeding is our energy reduces by about 80%. It all goes into the womb. So there is very little energy left for everything else. We tend to slow down, we go in on ourselves maybe a little bit. It's all completely natural. And we have to do that so that when spring comes or ovulation comes, we can come bursting out of our woman cave with renewed energy and renewed vigor. So that's just a little bit about what I think about this time of the year. I personally love it. I really do. But for people who are struggling, 3 tips. First of all, that have nothing to do with homeopathy. First of all, what is the main thing that is draining your energy or taking up space in your brain? Something that you are absolutely hating, something maybe that you've committed to, something that you have overcommitted to. Just have a think, give yourselves a couple of minutes. It could be maybe you're after signing up for the board of management at the school again, or you're thinking about it because you feel obliged, you feel maybe you have to do something. Can you let that go? What about maybe a class that you've thought, oh, I'm going to join that, but now really isn't holding your interest? Can you let that go? Or maybe an after school activity that some of the kids are signed up to, that you are pulling and dragging to get them to every week. Is there something there that can be let go or put on hold for a few weeks or until the new year? And children are wrecked this time of year as well. And just as we're pushing ourselves, kids are also being pushed. They're still doing all the school stuff. They're going straight into their after school activities. They're coming home, they're doing their homework, but with much shorter days and much lower reserves. And then people are wondering why kids are always sick in the winter, or why we're always sick in the winter. It's just we're pushing and pushing. We're giving 110% all the time when really we should be only given about 70% at this time of the year. So is there something you can let go of? And it's such a lovely nurturing time. Maybe something that you could do that feeds your heart, that feeds your soul more. I was working all day today, in and out of work all day, but I kept picking up the ukulele. I love it. I love that time to myself to just sit back. I can see Deirdre Morris is there knitting. Loads of people are getting back into their crafts for the winter. It's nice. It's nice to slow down and just give ourselves permission for this time. So that's one thing. Drop something or maybe pick something else up. Sleep. We need extra sleep in the winter. We probably need an extra hour and a half in the winter. So if your sleep was already poor, there's even more urgency on us now to sort that out. There is no excuse. It's dark at 5:30. We need to be in bed. We need to be in bed as early as we possibly can. And the more sleep that we get before 12 p.m., before midnight, 12 a.m., that's much better quality sleep than sleep we're getting afterwards. And anybody who has menstrual issues, we really need to be looking at the 9 to 11 p.m. slot, because that's when our reproductive organs reboot. We have this lovely healing window every 24 hours. And because we're awake for it, it's 9 to 11 p.m. Most of us are missing out on it. This gorgeous self-healing. That's because we're so tired. Our bodies have been shut down and pushed into this other way of being and producing and doing all the time. So that is sleep. And the other thing is fresh air. But sometimes we don't feel like going out when it's really windy and it's really wet and it's grey and it's just miserable. But you know what? Oh my God, 2 dogs fighting in the hall now. This is nice. I've never regretted a wet, windy walk. It's horrible to get out there, but you're really feeling the full force of nature when you're out there on a windy, wintry walk. I call it micro-dosing fresh air in the winter because I don't want to be out for long periods of time. But 15 minutes before starting work, or 15 minutes at lunchtime, 10 minutes, even just to bring the bins down to the end of the road is enough to just kind of get you going again. And it also reconnects you with the sunlight. Some of us are going to work in the dark, and we're coming home from work in the darkness. We're missing the sunlight the whole time. We do need that for our mental health. I can do this, but I like a sunrise walk in the winter. And that sounds horrendous, but that's like at 7:30, 8:00, 7:30. There's nothing, it's not early. But I can just be there. I can see the sun coming up. It makes me feel good, resets my rhythms for the day. And then I can just carry on. And there's a lovely field about 5 minutes walk down the road that I like to go to and see the sun coming up in the morning. You'll see that every morning, whether it's raining or not. So they are just a few little tips. And then I have remedies. Now, if you are in a serious slump, the remedies from the kits are not going to be enough, and you will need to get help. You need to go to your homeopath and get help. But if you feel you're just having a few rough days and a few low days, then by all means, go to the kits and try a remedy for yourself or for somebody else who's struggling as well. So I suppose what I would do is, if I'm having a few low days, I would take, if it's one particularly bad day, I would take one pill 3 times over the course of that day. Or if I'm just having a kind of a funny old week, just 1 pill a day for 3 days. So the first one is sepia. And I've talked about all these remedies before, well, bar one. But we can use them in so many different ways. It's the beauty of homeopathy, and especially when we drop labels, when we're not thinking, I need to sort out my seasonal affective disorder. Will somebody tell me, is it seasonal affective disorder or seasonal adjustment disorder? Jan said she's ready to hibernate. I love hibernating. I love it. I feel I've really got into hibernation mode, doing a lot of lovely big dinners, and that, sometimes they're liked and appreciated, and other times aren't. I feel good because I've done them. Okay, so I don't think anybody else knows if it's seasonal adjustment or seasonal affected. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We know what we're talking about. We're talking about very low mood in the winter time. So sepia, the main thing about sepia, seasonal affective disorder. Thank you, Janice. Sepia, main thing about this remedy is the person feels indifferent to their surroundings. They want to get away. Feel indifferent to their kids and their family. It's the big word for sepia. Just leave me alone. So if that can seem like quite a big thing, for any of us, mums or carers say, I just need to get away, but it's not a big thing. Everybody feels touched out. It's okay to admit that and say, yeah, no, I've actually had enough. Or I've had enough of my clients for the day, or I've had enough of employers or my colleagues. I just need some time away on my own. You might feel very helpless. Sorry, not helpless, hopeless. Hopeless, it's sad, very gloomy, down in the boots, crying. Anxiety, and doesn't really want to do anything. No motivation. Doesn't want to do anything physical, doesn't want to do anything mental. Even reading a book can sometimes feel, just a bit beyond us. So that is sepia, indifference. It's a low mood with indifference. And sometimes you can feel like that coming up to your period. Or maybe you've had a whole day at home on your own with several children. At the end of the day, you just feel, oh, just leave me alone. Just let me get away. Love everybody, but I really need a break from everybody. So that's sepia. I'll just push it up here. CPIA. Sepia is the cuttlefish. Remember it? Oh no, sorry, I'm not just sending. I think I just messaged one person there. Sepia is the cuttlefish, and when it feels threatened, it squirts out this black ink. And when there's chaos with this ink, suddenly everything is dark, and the predator feels a bit like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And the sepia, the cuttlefish, uses that time to escape, runs away, like, let me out of here as fast as I can go. Okay, the second one isn't actually in the kit, but I think it should be. It's a great remedy to have on hand, because you can use it in a few different ways. But I'm just talking about low mood tonight, but it's low mood with marked tiredness, and that is Califos, Kalipphos, Califos. This is a big remedy for adrenal burnout, and my goodness, if you have been going all year and you're struggling with adrenal fatigue, wintertime is when you're really going to notice it. So you can get this if you don't have this remedy and you're just feeling really kind of exhausted this time of year. You could actually order this in a 3C or a 6C potency, and you could take it for 21 days or 28 days if you feel a bit burnt out. So it's just mental and physical exhaustion. Tired, weak. Maybe you feel a bit burnt out from work. I think accountants and people who are working in accountancy offices are all in this state at the moment after meeting their deadlines and still trying to meet deadlines. Gloomy, just feeling kind of dull, like the light's sort of gone out of life a little bit. Just weary. Or maybe a sense that something bad is going to happen. There's anxiety in it. And when somebody is totally burnt out, sleep can be quite elusive. So if you're having problems sleeping, even though you are exhausted, worn out, the remedy is, it's not in the kit, but I think it's a really good one. It's called Califos. Kalipphos. And it's easy to get this. You can order it online, and if you are ordering it online, like I said, don't a 3C or a 6C is very good if you want to take it for 21 days or 28 days, or if you want to get the 30C, like what's in the kit, just maybe one a day for 3 days and then leave it. Don't take any more. And of course, getting into this state, it's a wake-up call. There has to be some sort of realization that comes with this, that something has got to change, that life cannot continue at the same hectic pace or with the same amount of stress. Because what comes after all of this, if we don't listen to the subtle wake-up calls, we'll definitely have to listen to the big ones, like when we're hit with sickness. So we have to look after these amazing bodies of ours. No apologies. The next one is natrum mur, nat mur. I'm just going to put up the, I was in the wrong settings. This is natrum mur. Nat mur, it's called in some of the kits. Last one was Califos. I'm putting this up in the chat, and we talked about sepia already. Okay, so natrum mur is a big grief remedy, but it's grief that's held in. But you can use it for lots of other conditions as well. So very, very low mood, where the person does not want to talk about it. Just joyless, no fun, a tendency to withdraw from everybody. And if they do feel like crying, they will probably do it on their own. So nat mur, the thing with nat mur and this kind of winter mood, the lowness of the mood is what makes this one a bit different. This is really, really low. I don't like the word depression because I don't think I'm qualified to use it, but it's low, dark mood. People who need this remedy tend to get offended very easily. Maybe pick things up wrong and think, oh, well, that was a personal slight against me, and dwell on it. Because natrum mur, nat mur types like to hold a grudge. they like to take that hurt and they wrap it up and they keep it in here. So they could be thinking and overthinking and replaying certain events or situations or conversations in their head, and it could be from ages ago. People who have offended them. It's a very, very low mood. And of course, there can be grief here. Old grief. And they might just have intruding thoughts of maybe one particular thing that plays over and over and over again in the head. But this might happen, or this could happen. And again, might not be able to sleep with all that stuff going on. That's the irony of overexhaustion, is we're just not able to sleep then, because stress hormones have been keeping us going during the day. And they don't realize that we're lying down and ready for sleep. And the last one is ignatia. And what makes this one different are the tears. So a lot of tears, but also change in moods. So it can be okay for a while, but then drop really, really quickly. And tears. There's deep sadness in somebody who needs this remedy. So lots and lots of tears. Happy enough to be on their own to withdraw as well. Can be very anxious, irritable. And look out for things like sighing, because that's the lack of oxygen. People who need ignatia are not able to get enough oxygen into their lungs, so the body overcompensates in other ways with sighing. When we sigh, we're taking in oxygen, or yawning, we're taking in oxygen. Or maybe the tears are getting, the crying is getting so intense that they're at that sobbing, the hard sobbing stage. Moody, changes in moods, all of that. So they are the 4 remedies. Before I'm bringing on the lovely Janet Mead from Mother Milk Herbs. So she's a herbalist, obviously. I just wanted to tell you, herbalism and homeopathy don't work well together. So one or the other. And that's because sometimes our remedies are made from herbs. So just bear that in mind. If you've got a prescription, you've got a homeopathic prescription, don't start using herbs until it's done. And the other way around, if you're on a herbal prescription, wait until that is finished before you try anything else. These are both. The last remedy was ignatia. IGNATIA. Low mood with lots and lots of tears. What else did I want to say? The next tomorrow night, I am with Gráinne Flanagan doing a transmission of the British remedy. Gráinne and I created that remedy in 2004 years ago. And British, of course, is St. British. We made it from well water, and the St. Bridget's well. And we used it a lot during lockdown, during the beginning of COVID times. And it is for people who are really, really frightened and are needing the cloak of St. British wrapped around them to protect them with everything that is going on in the world at the moment. Do mind yourselves, and if you need to take aconite for shock or ignatia for grief, do take them. I'm trying myself to stay as much out of the whole Israel-Palestine thing as I possibly can, because I'm not able for it. Not with the stuff that's happening with children, I'm just not able. But if you find you're going in there, remember, your brain doesn't realize that this is happening somewhere else. Your brain just thinks this is happening to you, and it's sending all sorts of signals to your body to respond to these perceived threats. And just protect yourself. So tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, Gráinne and I are transmitting the remedy of British. And the idea is that we are sending it to everybody who just comments on a post on Facebook and Instagram, and they are going to take what they need for themselves and send it out to the rest of the world. And when we can all come together, and this is like praying, it's like a meditation. We lift our own frequency, our own vibration. We're going to each go back into our homes afterwards and lift the vibration of the people around us. They are going to go out the next morning with a higher vibration and lift people around them. And so it goes on and on and on. It's the most beautiful ripple effect you'll ever experience. And we can all be part of it. So all you have to do, if you're interested, is just at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. There's not going to be a video or anything like that. Just take a few minutes to yourself, sit still, know that Grania and I are starting the activation here. Know that you are well capable of receiving it, because we're all energetic beings, and know that you have to take what you need for yourself before you send it out to everybody else, and just send love and light to anyone in the world who needs it. So that's going on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Yeah, it just shows we're not powerless in all of this. We're really not. There's always something we can do. So, okay, without further ado, let me bring on Janet. You can unmute yourself there, and I want to
Hello.
Welcome. Make it myself.
Thank you for having me.
A pin. Just realised I didn't have myself pinned for any of that. I'm delighted you're here, Janet. It's lovely. It's lovely that it's lovely to see your face, and we're looking forward to your wisdom. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, please.
Yeah. So thanks a million for having me, and hello to everybody. So yeah, my name is Janet Mead. I am a herbalist. I do Reiki healing, energy healing. But my journey, I suppose, began 25 years ago. I was pregnant with my son. My son was 25 last Friday, and I was pregnant with him, and I was low in iron at the time. So the doctor gave me these Galfer tablets, which made me really, really sick. So I just started researching what can I actually take that would help. And what I came across was nettle. Now, I hadn't a clue how to harvest it or nothing like that, but I'd get the tinctures from the shop, from the health food shop, and I started taking it that way. And then over time, I suppose when I had my son, then, giving him little bits of chamomile tea if he had an upset tummy, and just not having a clue what I was doing myself, but just trying something different because the other option wasn't sitting right with me, Um, so that's how I kind of started initially. And I only started training it about 10 years ago. I set a goal for myself in 2008. I did a course in life coaching, and I says, okay, I need to just get in touch with myself. I was going through a marriage split. I was really struggling, felt very low. A lot of trauma was coming up, and I thought I need to heal myself. This is what I need to do. And I had counselors, and I was having that support as well on the side. So I started doing Reiki healing then as well. I found that amazing for working on myself. And that led to then each year I set a goal that I would do one course or do something that really resonated with me, whatever would come up. And that led me to the herbal medicine, which was the 4-year course, which actually changed my life really. I suppose at the time my daughter had really bad eczema, and I realized that a lot of the stuff I was using in the home, the detergents and cleaners and all that wasn't helping. And I started looking into that a little bit more and changing things completely in the house. Thankfully, she's 10 now, she's eczema free. But just seeing the way the little changes in my own home, whether it was with the herbs, whether it was with, certain foods we might be eating, and then cleaners and stuff in the house. So that's kind of where I started off. It was really just a journey for myself. I never thought I would be sharing this with other people. It was just really for myself and my children and my family. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And, as I said, it's changed my life. And I would have had, I suppose, depression after having my 3, and it was really, really difficult. And I made the choice. I didn't want to go down the pharma route myself. So for me, I suppose with trauma and stuff that came up for me, a lot of healing had to happen, and the herbs helped me immensely. It really, really helped me. So they did. when I was in a really bad place, you know.
Can I just
Um,
can I just clarify what you said, because we kind of lost you for a second. Did you say you
oh,
had
sorry, yeah, the
did you
signal
say you
from
had postnatal depression?
postnatal depression, yes. After three of my children, so I have three boys and a girl. And after each boy, I had postnatal depression. It was just the melancholy, low mood, um, you know, and then traumas and you know, stuff coming up from my childhood as well is what I found was coming up for me. But with taking the herbs and working with the herbs, it just helped kind of lift me out of that. Helped me to just see that, you know, life isn't too bad, really. Do you know, if we really look at ourselves and look what's around us, and stop focusing so much on the negative and see the positive in situations. And a lot of that negative I found for myself was insecurities from childhood. I'm not good enough. Can I do this? I can't do this. You know, all these questions in my mind. Um, but yeah, that's postnatal depression three times. It was quite difficult, but got through it. You know, I did a lot of grounding. I had counselling, spoke to my doctor. So I had a load of different avenues, and then the herbs was the route that helped me the most through that.
Brilliant.
Mm,
I
yeah,
I before I got into this, I was an organic. I was doing organic horticulture, and I was going to go and study herbalism, but this just actually came up first. So I have a great respect for the herbs, and I do firmly
yeah.
believe that everything, most things that we need, are around us.
It's
Um,
around us. Yeah,
yeah. So
absolutely.
I deal with, as I've told you, this is mostly this is being watched by, it's on YouTube and what, or will be on YouTube. It's mostly women in their 30s, 40s, 50s,
Mm,
60s who are looking at this. What sort of, and I suppose keeping in with the theme of tonight, which is sort of
yeah,
winter
yeah.
support and help, what would you advise people for now, this time of
Coming, coming into the winter, look after yourself. That's number one. Get out in nature as well. Trying to keep yourself grounded. Because I think with the winter coming in, we need to look at ourselves like the seasons. And that was a huge thing that helped me through winter as well. It's just looking at myself like the seasons. You know, in spring, we're starting to come in, you know, the spring in our step, the summer then, you know, we're feel a lot happier, so a lot more sunshine. And then as the time goes on, we do need to start looking after ourselves, resting, and you spoke about that as well, Antoinette. Um, and minding ourselves and getting the rest if we need the rest. And I know it's very hard in this day and age. We have so many expectations of ourselves, whether it's job and children and whatever we do in our personal lives. But we need to look after ourselves and rest. That's a huge thing. We need to see the animals hibernate, the plants and trees, they all die off, and we're dying off to a certain extent as well. That's a huge thing for me as well. And if it's possible, if you can't take time, whether it's off work or out for yourself, a day a week, even take half an hour for yourself. Whether it's to sit and meditate, whether it's to have a bath, whether it's to go for a nice walk in nature. And as you were talking about with the rain, I love going out in the rain. It's like it just cleanses me in some way or form, you know. And you know, just because it's going into the darker months, it's a journey and it's a learning as well. What are we learning about ourselves? What are we shedding? What are we letting go? That's a huge thing, and keeping ourselves grounded through it. And by staying, keeping ourselves grounded, sometimes our mind can fly off and we're overthinking things. You know, just keep our feet on the ground, focus on the dishes that we're washing, focus on what we're doing, stay mindful within our day, and stop thinking about what ifs, and worrying about going into this time of year that, oh, it's going to be dark, I'm going to feel this, I'm going to feel that. Try and keep yourself positive, because change begins within. And an awful lot of it is our own mind that's tricking us in a sense into feeling a certain way. And a lot of these buzzwords, I suppose, which can be kind of labeling, like seasonal affective disorder, is that really what it is? I personally believe we're just going through the same motions of as what the seasons are, and the animals and the plants, and we need to look at that as well and try and go through it ourselves in a certain way, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know,
Yeah,
we get our garden all ready for winter because we know that the roots have to be looked after in winter. Everything else can die off. So we're out mulching and we're covering things and we're, just making it nice, but we're not really
yeah.
doing that for ourselves.
We're not doing it for ourselves, and that's the thing. We look after everything else but ourselves, and that's the important thing is me time. Take that bit of me time. Have a foot bath. Have a bath. Get some, get some nice essential oils. Put them in a foot bath. Put them in the bath. Some people are allergic to them, but if you're able to use essential oils, do use them. Have nice fragrances in your home, natural fragrances. And as you said, go out into your garden, prepare it. But don't just say, I have this job to do. Look at it as, you're nourishing yourself while you're doing this. As I said, even if washing the dishes or cooking a dinner, you're nourishing yourself and your family while you're doing this, and try and change that mindset. And getting the garden ready. For me, I use a lot of wild herbs as well. So even keep a little area in your garden that you want to have wild coming into spring and summer, and see what grows there, because generally what grows in your garden is what you need yourself. That's kind of the way we would look at it.
Okay.
So if you have an abundance of a certain plant in your garden, whether it's a nettle, you might need a little bit more nourishment. If it's dandelion, you might need, you might be going through a change that you need to adapt with. Have a look and see what plants are grown in abundance, and trust it, and trust yourself as well going through that process, and mind yourself through it. That's so important. It's just minding yourself. Um, as women especially, and as you said, there's women from the 30s to 60s in this group. As you said, menopause. There's an awful lot of emotions there with that. There's an awful lot of feelings, and again, an awful lot of old stuff, whether it's childhood stuff, whether it's trauma, whether it's grief, that can all come up any stage for our life. But I find getting older, I'm in my late 40s, little things will come up every so often, and I'm working a lot faster on stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As opposed to when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was just flying around, working, looking after children, blah, 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 not actually taking that time out to sit with myself and to work through stuff and to see what's coming up and to mind myself through it.
I love what you said about if there's an abundance of something in your garden to take note because maybe that is what you need. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit more about that? Dandelions, nettles, what else to look out for, and what can help us this time of year, especially?
Well, this time of year, everything is kind of dying off now, so it'd be very hard to find anything. But there would be some roses. Well, you might see a little few rose hips around, but you can still use the leaves of the roses. They can be used to make herb teas. Like the roses are really lovely plants, so they're also good for like menstrual balancing as well. They're good for insomnia, and they help us on a metaphysical level to create healthy boundaries for ourselves. Um,
I'm right.
yes, the thorns on the rose. Yeah, so if you look, so the roses has the thorn, so that's the boundary. If you go to try and grab a rose, you're going to get cut, you're going to get scraped. So if we take the rose internally on a metaphysical level, that will help us to create healthy boundaries as well for ourselves. And it also helps to promote self-love as well, and
And
to
do you
help
mean,
us to
sorry,
increase.
can I just ask you,
Sorry.
do you mean roses as in, rose bushes, or do you mean rose hips?
The roses themselves, you can actually take the leaf of the rose plant and use it as a tea. The rose hips I wouldn't put into a tea. The rose hips would be full of vitamin C, and they're a great tonic, great winter tonic to use. But if you want to just make yourself a herb tea and you're looking around to see what's around you, and there's a rose bush with leaves just on it, because the hips are almost gone now, you can still make a tea out of the rose leaf of the bush. Yeah.
I love that,
Um,
boundaries.
and it's a lovely one to have. Yeah, another great one is lemon balm, but it's died off now. But you can still buy it in the health food shops. You can still buy lemon balm. It's really good for that winter melancholy. Um, it's known for seasonal affective disorder, but it's a calming nerve and it helps to calm the nervous system, and it also helps us to just nourish ourselves. It helps to increase our own creative vitality. It's a lovely plant. Also really good for like fevers as well, and colds and flus. So lemon balm is another plant for this time of year that I would recommend. And it
And
brings sunlight to the body.
if somebody was
Sorry?
to get lemon balm now for springtime to grow next year, how would they
Yes.
preserve it so they could use it next winter, this time of the year?
Well,
Next,
generally, if you get a clipping of lemon balm off somebody, just pop it into a pot and just leave it, and it will come back. Just leave it in the garden, let the rain water it, and then it'll generally just come back. Like lemon balm grows like wildflower once you plant it. So get a clipping off somebody and just pop it into a little pot of soil and just leave it outside, and you'll see the little tiny leaves starting to come around February, March.
and can you dry
That's how
those
it will
and
grow.
store them for winter?
The lemon balm can be dried, but it does lose its antiviral properties and its sedative properties. It's a mild sedative, not a strong sedative, just helps to calm us a lot. But it will keep the calming nervine. So if you dried it, it would work as a nervine for the winter. My best way of keeping it would be to freeze it. So if you freeze the lemon balm in freezer bags, that way is a better way of preserving it, because you're preserving it as fresh. It has to be used fresh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Jan is saying that she has loads of lemon balm still blooming, and she has loads of blackthorn trees. And
Fabulous.
do you make
Well,
it?
then she would be able to. Yes, so the lemon balm, you would use the leaves for the lemon balm to make a tea. So if you harvest, is it Janice that has the lemon balm plant? Cut the stalks of it and then harvest the leaves off it. So you can just slide along the stalk and take the leaves off it, pop it into a freezer bag, and then just use a few leaves then to make a cup of tea throughout your day. And that's the best way to store lemon balm. As I said, if you dry it, it takes away the some of the properties. But if you freeze it, it's just keeping it fresh. So that's the best way to store it. Yeah.
I love all this. This is great. What about the blackthorn? Is there anything that you can do with that?
Blackthorn, I haven't used blackthorn a whole lot, so I can't say exactly what the properties are, to be honest. Yeah, it's not something that I would use, not for winter time anyways. My main ones would be rose for winter and lemon balm. And as I said, there's still rose bushes around. You can
Yeah.
still use the leaves and they would still have the properties.
Rose and lemon balm. Lovely.
Yeah. Another plant that a lot of people wouldn't know of, there's still some of it around, is comfrey. Comfrey would have B vitamins in it, and some people that would be of low mood could be low in B vitamins. So we would use comfrey as well, sometimes in tonics, depending on what the person needs. I don't diagnose people. If someone comes to me with issues, I work on the whole. So I will check, we'll talk about every aspect of their life to see exactly what's up with them. And if they need comfrey, we'll give some no comfrey as well. Yeah.
You mentioned the dandelions. I know quite a few people here are using dandelions, but I like them myself actually. You just tell us a little bit for anybody who doesn't know about the dandelion, how amazing this is.
Dandelion is just amazing. No matter how much they spray dandelion, it's still there. It still comes back. It's known as an adaptogen plant, which means that it helps you to adapt to what's needed within your body. So, say for example, you have say overactive or underactive thyroid, and you take dandelion. It will help either or. It helps to adapt in the body.
Very good.
Um, Yes, yes. Same with blood pressure, low blood pressure, either or, it will help. And whatever your body doesn't need, it will weigh it out. That's how clever any part of it, you'll just weigh it out basically. But also, with dandelion, when it's been cut in lawns, which an awful lot of people do, it's a shame to see, it will grow tiny, really, really small, whereas the actual size of dandelion is about 4 foot. And the reason for that is, again, it will adapt to just below the size of the lawnmower, so it doesn't get it fully. So clever, such a clever plant. So the parts that you would use for dandelion would be the root, the leaf, and the flower. It's a brilliant kidney tonic, brilliant liver tonic. great for the pancreas, great for blood sugars. It's just a fantastic, fantastic plant. And it's still actually growing now. You'll see the leaves of it growing. And so you can just use the leaves in a tea that can be taken daily. But dandelion leaf, it can be dried. It keeps all its properties when it's dried as well. So that's a really good tonic as well to take. It's full of potassium, has some iron in it, vitamins, minerals. Really good one to have daily, and it helps to keep the liver and kidneys working and flushed out as well. So it's a really good one to have daily, and it's safe to take for all ages as well.
I love how you have such respect for the plants. You seem to have a real grow for them.
I love them. I love them. I can't even say how much I love them. They're just amazing. And when you sit with them and when you start working with the plants, you get they nearly talk to you, and some people would say to me, like, you're mad. I'd say hello to dandelions when I see them in spring, and my husband just be laughing, saying, you're nuts, you are. But you can nearly hear them talk back. The plants will tell you if they want you to pick them. If you find a plant has been stubborn and doesn't want to come, don't pick it. It doesn't want to be picked. And that's the way I look at it. Just connecting with them and just listening to their needs as well as my own needs and what needs they have. They're just amazing. And you'll see new plants then as well. Like, even though I'm doing this is the beauty of it. I'm always learning. Every year something new will grow in my garden. I'm like, wow, what is this? I've never seen this before. And I'll start researching to see what it is, the properties. I sit with it for a little bit. And it's good for the soul. For me, I find it's good for my soul to do that, to sit, be in nature and get to know what's growing around me, because there's a reason for it all. It's been put there for a reason.
Obviously, we have to be very careful with all of this if we're using sprays in the garden.
Oh, absolutely. I do not recommend using any sprays, and if you spray it, and that don't have road pollution either, which in this day it can be quite difficult, but there's a lot of areas that you can find. And I live in a state, so I know there's spraying going around me, but for me, I just keep my space clean from all of that. And I just trust that the plants are going to provide clean plants for me as well, regardless of what my neighbours are doing. We can't control what happens out there.
Yeah.
We
Dimple says, how do you take the comfrey?
make that, change. Sorry, you're breaking up there a little bit.
The comfrey, how do you take the comfrey?
So again, comfrey has to be dried. Comfrey can't be taken internally if it's fresh. So it has to be dried for at least 2 weeks, just to get rid of these alkaloids that can be damaging to the liver. But after that, it kind of takes them alkaloids out of it. So just make a tea out of it. 1 or 2 teaspoons of comfrey and a cup of boiling water. Leave it to infuse. Always leave your herbs to infuse for 15-20 minutes in the cup, just to really get the nutrients out of it. And you can take it in a tea, you can take it in a tincture. I'm sure some health food shops sell the tincture as well. So yeah, that's a really nice one to take as well, comfrey. And it's nourishing and for the body. Good for anyone that might have had any injuries. Full of protein as well. Apparently it has more protein than soy. So it's a nice plant to take. It's one that I would take, but I would take a break. I'd take it for a month and I'd take a couple of weeks break from taking it, and then introduce it again. Whereas the likes of dandelion, nettle, I would take daily for life,
Okay. Well, if somebody wanted,
think just because something is natural or herbal, just because something is from the ground and is natural, that everything is safe to take. But you really need to be careful. There's some plants that aren't very safe to take, and they mightn't be safe if you're on certain medications. So that's another thing to be wary of.
Okay. I think the connection is getting worse. But I just, Janet, I wanted to ask you, if somebody wanted to work with you what happens? How does the consultation come about? What do you do?
If somebody wanted to work with me, sorry.
If they wanted
Breaking
to
up
work
there.
with you, if they wanted to make an appointment, or how does your practice work? How do your consultations work?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So people can just get in touch with me. They can get onto my Mother Mia Herbs page. My phone number is there. My email is there. And they just book a consultation. And the consultation can take from an hour upwards, depending on the person, depending on what their needs are. And it's really just sitting and having a chat about them, having a chat about their lifestyle. If they're on medications or supplements, I'll ask them to bring them along as well. I don't diagnose people. I see the herbs as just another tool in your toolbox that will help support you through whatever you need, whether it's nourishment, whether it's if you're a bit depressed or if you have certain injuries, depends on what's going on. The herbs are there to support you through that. It's not something to be used to plaster over something. That's the way I would do it. I will always tell people in their lives, and the herbs will help them with that. So people can just book through Facebook, make contact that way, or through Instagram. My
Okay,
phone
and
number.
do you, because you're a really natural teacher, do you run courses helping people to telling them more about the herbs?
Yeah, I do. I do courses every year. So I've done this year so far, I would do a rewild your garden workshop. So that would be basically in my own garden, showing people what I've left to grow wild and what I've kind of co-planted in between that. And then I do herbal allies for depression, grief, trauma, and postnatal depression. So that's really just for women, that workshop. And it's really kind of just opening up. It's not just about the herbs, it's about the self-care as well. So that's another workshop that I do throughout the year. I do herbal face cream workshop, herbal cosmetics workshop. So that's doing face creams, cleansers, toners, lip balms, a mixture of stuff that I use in my home. That's what I teach about. Stuff that has helped me over the years. That's where my workshops are from. And stuff that I'm passionate about, and it's important for me to help other people, because I believe if we go through a certain lot in our lives, whether it's trauma or grief or whatever, they're there as lessons for us to teach us to be more empathic towards other people, and to be more understanding of other people. So
What is
that's where my workshops go. Yeah.
And I'm hoping to get to some of your workshops actually, because where are you? Are you in Athlone?
I'm in Athlone. Yeah. I'm in Athlone town. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of Mother Mia?
So Mother Miok. So I'm a mother of 4 children. So that's the mother part. Miok is my name, Mead in Irish. My brother actually, he'd be fluent in Asquelga, but so he told me that Miok. In school we would have been told that was Ní Míoch, but he said no, it's wrong, it's Miok. And then I heard after that Miok was a healer with the two of the Danann. So there's a lot of different stories out there. So I thought it really resonated. Miok being my family name, and then herbs as well. So that's where Mother Miok Herbs came from. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to finish up. That was Janet, that was absolutely amazing. And you've just made me excited about getting back out to the garden and out to the tunnel again. And I've been kind of like in the last few weeks, oh, it's a bit cold. But no, I'm really looking forward to we have a very wild garden, but I'm looking forward to making an awful lot more use of it. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And I saw somebody asking there about plantain.
Oh yeah.
So just quickly, because there's still quite a lot of plantain around. So plantain is actually a really good herb, really good demulcent herb, really good for coughs, colds, and flus as well. So a really good one to have this time of year. Must be used fresh. So you'd use a leaf or two, depending on the size of plantain. Chop it finely. Add a teaspoon or two to a cup of boiling water, leave it to infuse, and it's really good for getting the phlegm up. Anyone that has stubborn coughs. So it's a good plant to have in the garden this time of year for coughs and colds.
It's grown
Many
everywhere.
uses, really good for the digestive system.
It's grown.
It grows everywhere, absolutely. Yeah, grows everywhere. Good for the digestive system as well. So it's a multifaceted plant, definitely is.
Lovely.
And I'd give 3 tips then before I go. I would say to people, if go out into nature, spend time in nature. Don't be afraid of the cold. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's part of our journey. And we have to go through certain feelings and emotions to come out the other side. And try and stay grounded and look after yourselves. Most importantly, get some me time.
That was amazing. That was just amazing. Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you.
I'm delighted with that. Okay, I'm just going to, if there's any more questions anybody wants to ask, just want to tell you next week, there isn't a huddle next week, but I'm going to do it's a new moon next Monday, and I'm going to do a new moon womb meditation. So there'll be no remedies. It's just come on if you've got the time and space at 8:30 next Monday night. Just come in and just relax. And all this trauma that's going on in the world can really affect our wombs and our womb spaces if we don't have a physical womb anymore. We tend to take trauma into our wombs. We need to release all of that. So it'll just be a nice 20-minute meditation or so. Someone said, oh yeah, Karen, your mic was on. That's absolutely fine. I located you pretty quickly. Don't worry, that was nothing compared to what I was saying before live on camera. Okay, I will put up your details tomorrow, Janet. Thank you. That was just fabulous. Thank you so much. I will share all your stuff again, your social media, and this recording it'll be sent to everybody who didn't get it tonight, and yeah, and it'll be up as a podcast as well, so people can get it whatever way they want. Okay, I'm going to go. It was so lovely to see everybody. Janet, I really hope to see you soon at a homemade meetup.
We will, definitely.
Yeah, we keep missing each other for some reason, but this is amazing. Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who joined this live, and everybody else who'll be catching up later. Okay, all right, bye.